Hello, English 112 students. Welcome to week 7 of 8. That's crazy, I know. What we're doing this week is we're actually wrapping up Module D and then moving into Module E. So a lot of stuff to cover in a short period of time. Then we've only got a little bit left after that. You only got a little bit of reflecting to do. But what we've got to do this week is actually wrap up the proposal essay information and then start the last thing, which is the multimodal project and presentation of your proposal essay. We'll get into that in a second. What you're going to see when you've got the announcement already, what you're going to see though at the end of Module D is D9, 10, and 11. D9, this last peer review we're doing is just on sections C through F. So we already did A and B. This time we're doing C through F. You'll see the instructions there inside of the peer review forum. Remember to post your draft before Wednesday and then reply to 2 classmates before Sunday. Again, what we're doing here is we're trying to make sure that everybody has enough time to get some feedback on those before the final draft of the proposal essay is due at the end of the week on Sunday. After that, you're going to see that the next thing you'll do is the D10. D10 is the self-assessment and reflection piece. This is an upload through the Connect assignment where you'll take your complete proposal essay that you've completed after getting feedback, submit that to the self-assessment reflection, answer some questions about it, annotate some places where you did some things you're supposed to do in that proposal essay, reflect on it, talk about your processes, and submit that through the Connect portal. That Connect assignment, again, has a hard deadline at the end of the week, so you won't be able to submit that thing late. The peer review could be submitted late if needed be, but I'd like for you to get that done already. The final draft is a major writing assignment. All the others are just smaller assignments. That major writing assignment is a major part of your final grade. If you don't submit that, you will not pass the course. It's a big, big part of the class. That's the thing you've been working on the whole semester, basically. So complete that, submit that. In that D11 folder, you're going to see that there's a link to the Jaguar Writing Tutor portal. If you'd like to submit your draft there beforehand, submit a complete draft there. They'll give you some feedback. They're pretty quick with that, usually back within the day or two. Don't wait until the end of the week because it is due at the end of the week. Looking at what's starting in Module E, I'm going to focus most of the rest of the video on talking about that. E1, the multimodal project and presentation. E2 and E3 are both Connect assignments, talking about designing documents, which you'll be doing for this E module. You're designing a multimodal piece instead of using an essay. What you're writing is a SWAY document. A SWAY is a thing through Microsoft Office. You all have access to it through the student portal. Your Microsoft Office account, your applications, one of those is SWAY. So you use SWAY to be able to create a document that simulates a website. So you'll be making something that looks like a website. And then you're going to be presenting that by presenting it on video, just like I'm doing to you right now, by sharing your screen, recording your face, and talking your way through that presentation. There's some examples of some SWAY documents there. And I've also got some resources for you that tell you how to record the video, post it, and present it as well. You have to do that as part of your final grade. So we'll look mostly at that here in the E folder, E1 multimodal assignment. So let's look at modules. You'll notice that the E module is already open for you to look at here. So again, you're doing the last couple of things this week in the D module, the peer review on section C through F, the D10 self-assessment and reflection piece, and then you're posting your final draft of that proposal essay. Once you have that done, then what you're going to do is take all the information in your proposal essay and start planning this E1, this multimodal project. You'll see that I'm opening this information here. This is where the information is, the instructions and the resources, but that information is not due until here at the end of the week. So at the end of the week, you're going to see that the E5 is the multimodal project and presentation. That's at the end of week 8, at the end of the semester. So you'll post that, and the last 2 things you're going to do at the end of the semester, the last week, is just respond to other people's their multimodals, and then do your final reflection and course feedback. So let's look at E1, basically. We're going to spend most of our time doing that. Read this information here. What we're doing now is asking you to move from delivering something in a paper format to delivering something in another format outside of that. So we want you to use things like text, audio, video, images, and also document design. This project allows you to have a little more control in your project rather than adhering to APA standards, all that information. You're still going to have to give us a references page for the information you're using, but you'll see. So the E1 multimodal project presentation assignment instructions, it's a major grade for the source, for the project, for the course. This describes the communication projects in terms of the modes that you'll use to create the message. Your task here is to use the assigned media delivery method, which is called Microsoft Sway, and use several modes to create persuasive proposal in different format for a different audience other than your written proposal. So what you're doing here is you're taking the proposal that you wrote and you're imagining now that it's a different audience. So the audience that you wrote your proposal to would be the people who you think could make the change that you think needs to be changed. You proposed a solution to a problem. And in that essay, the people you wrote to, your audience, were the people who could make that change. The people who were the legislators, or the people who made the rules, or the people who came up with the way that we'll do certain procedures, or whatever it was. That's who you wrote to. You called to them at the end of the essay to do something about this problem. Now, in this project, you're going to change the audience. So maybe not the people who can make the change, but now you're talking to the people who it affects, the people who have to deal with the problem every day. Not the people who can make the change, but the people who need the change made, or people who are entering the field who have no idea about this problem at all. So you're changing your audience and you're changing the way that the information is being given to your audience. So you're not just copying your and posting your proposal here. You've got to think about ways that you're going to switch it up. You've got to develop your research, your writing, and your modes of your choice to an engaging medium that's intended for a new and different audience. So it says everything from the placement of the images to the organization of the content creates meaning. Here, you've got to think about these things. The linguistic mode. This linguistic mode is most familiar to students. It's the way that words are used to communicate. What about the visual mode? Think about that. It focuses on aesthetics, what can be transmitted through how something looks, then how something sounds, the audio, how something looks visually, placement of the images, and then the gestures that are made through the person who's speaking. In this case, you'll be speaking on screen like you're seeing me do now. You're going to talk about the media that best fits your project. Here are the things you can use to kind of create something that you're going to present in this Sway document. So you're going to use, here are the requirements for the document. You got to have this certain content. You got to have the media and the design, the organization, the grammar, mechanics, and the skills, the style here, and then citations, of course. Here's the presentation part. The presentation of you giving us the information has to be from 7 to 8 minutes. You're going to use your Sway presentation, this thing you're creating, as your visual aid, and you're going to talk through it with the class. You're going to explain the problem that you addressed in your semester-long project and talk about why it was interesting to you and why it's important to address in your field. You're going to explain who your intended audience is in this presentation. You're going to talk about the perspectives, the steps for the solution, and then the call to action, and then close with final thoughts. Don't just read from the Sway page, and remember to practice. Down below here, you're going to see a sample project. That's a sample Sway, the rubric, and then some multimodal resources and Microsoft Sway resources for you to look at as well. You can use Sway, but here I've taught some other things too. You can use Prezi if you'd like, Google Charts, Padlet, Adobe Spark, Canva, whatever you want to create that creates some type of multimodal. Sway is available to you free through your student account, so that if you don't want to use one of these others, you have Sway to use. There will be resources that talk about, and I'll send out messages that talk about how to host a video free on YouTube and then share it only with a certain audience, me. so that you can do that and making sure that you're going to be able to present that information. But that's the thing you'll be working on. It's not due until the end of week 8 next week, but I want you to be aware of it and start working on it. Go ahead and start shifting that. Once you submit that proposal, start thinking about how you're going to submit that thing and make a sway document. All right. So that's the information for this week. If you've got any questions, please let me know. And I'm here to answer any questions that you have. Remember, grading's ongoing. Be looking for the feedback that's coming back. And I appreciate all your hard work this week.